Gabon's ousted president calls for help as coupist arrests son for treason. Building collapse kills 6, injures others in Borno IDP camp. Katsina residents resort to cooked cassava as price of food continues to rise. Away from Nigeria, death toll from torrential rains in Tajikistan hit 21. These are the headlines on Trust News Update. I am Ayuba Ila. Thanks for joining. Gabon's deposed president, Ali Bongo, has solicited for help hours after he was put under house arrest by members of his presidential guard in an ongoing coup attempt on Wednesday. Bongo, who confirmed his arrest in a video circulating on social media, calls on citizens to make noise after coup attempt. Meanwhile, one of the president's sons has been arrested for treason. The ousted president has also been placed under house arrest alongside some of his family members.
President of Gabon, and I'm to send a message to all the friends that we have all over the world to tell them to make noise, for the people here have arrested me and my family. My son is somewhere, my wife is in another place, and I'm at the residence. Right now, I'm at the residence and nothing is happening. I don't know what's going on. So I'm calling you to make noise, really. I'm thanking you.
In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu is closely watching the unfolding events in Gabon and is deeply concerned for the country's social-political stability and the autocratic tendencies which seem to be spreading across different regions of Africa. Special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, said on Wednesday that the President Tinubu still firmly believes that power belongs in the hands of the Africans, great people, and not in the barrel of a loaded gun. He explained that the president made significant personal sacrifices to advance and defend democracy and was therefore adamant that constitutional government must not be endangered on the continent. The president's spokesman said that Nigerian leader is also keen to see how the continent will respond to the contagious autocracy spreading across the continent.
The president affirms that the rule of law and a faithful recourse to constitutional resolutions and instruments of electoral dispute resolution must not at any time be allowed to perish from our great continent. To this end, the President is working very closely and continuing to communicate with other heads of state in the African Union toward a comprehensive consensus on the next steps forward with respect to how the crisis in Gabon will play out, into how the continent will respond to the contagion of autocracy we are seeing spread across our continent. The people of Africa living in the diaspora around the world, making a huge impact to the socio-political landscapes of countries around the world and the economies of countries around the world, continue to urge on the global community to advance the cause of democracy on the continent for the sake of the economic prosperity of all Africans.
Meanwhile, the Commonwealth on Wednesday voiced fears about a military coup in Gabon, which joined the grouping last year, and said it was monitoring the situation closely. Secretary General Patricia Scotland said that the situation was deeply concerning, adding that the Commonwealth Charter is clear that member states must uphold the rule of law and the principles of democracy at all times. This comes hours after a group of Gabonese military officers appeared on television announcing they were putting an end to the current regime and cancelling Ondimba's election. It came moments after the National Election Authority said that Bongo had won a third term in Saturday's election with 64.27% of the vote. Governor Uba Sani of Kaduna State has held an emergency security meeting with some traditional rulers and heads of security agencies over the security situation in the state. At the meeting, the heads of security agencies gave briefings on the security challenges in Soba, Birnin Gwari, and some other local councils, and reviewed the progress made so far in addressing the problems. The meeting, which was held on Tuesday behind closed doors, follows the resurgence of kidnappings and bandit attacks in Soba, Zaria, Birnin Gwari, and some other parts of Kaduna State. Sani, who presided over the meeting, harped on the need to strengthen cooperation between security agencies, traditional rulers, and the people. Stakeholders have emphasized the significance of dialogue in conflict prevention and mitigation, saying that if properly applied, can resolve the long years of crisis in Zamfara communities and the country at large. They said this at the two-day training for women, youths, traditional rulers, and security operatives in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital, aimed at building their capacity on community dialogue and conflict prevention and management, gender sensitivity and analysis as well. The report.
Participants in the two-day training highlighted the high rate of unemployment, poverty, injustice, and lack of punishment of perpetrators as some of the factors responsible for the escalation of conflict in the society. The organizers said the training is to build the capacity of dialogue facilitators to increase their skills in using dialogue as the best alternative dispute mechanism to resolve conflict in communities without approaching the court to seek redress.
The training, what International Class is doing is it has established dialogue platforms at the community level. So we have identified dialogue facilitators, and this training is aimed at strengthening the capacity of those dialogue facilitators to be able to manage conflict in the community, to be able to have alternative disputes. At the end of the day, we have communities where disputes are resolved in the community without necessarily escalating to even the courts, the formal courts.
One of the facilitators of the event believed that dialogue is the best alternative mechanism to the resolution of conflict.
What we want to achieve at the end of the day is to empower women, especially to be active in every dialogue opportunity given.
It is the belief that the participants of the two-day training will acquaint them with the requisite knowledge and skills to facilitate dialogue in resolving conflict in their communities and restoring peace.
The need for youths to embrace entrepreneurship as a way of complementing government's efforts in job creation in order to reduce the rate of unemployment has again been emphasized. This is the view of some residents of Jalingo who spoke with Trust TV on what can be done to reduce the rate of crime and criminality in the society. The report.
One of the promises made by the governor of Taraba State, Agbu Kefas, in his inaugural address to the state was that of job creation for youths and women. In fulfillment of that promise, the Taraba State government has successfully commenced processes for the recruitment of both graduates and undergraduates into the state's employ. Efforts to speak with the Commissioner for Cooperative and Poverty Eradication were not successful. For Mark Tukur, Obed Titus and Elizabeth Stephen Lakwat, who spoke with Trust TV, they want the youth not to depend on government for white-collar jobs, but rather acquire skills or venture into business in order to earn a decent living instead of staying idle.
Governor Agbu Kefas has come in from the ongo, the little days he has done in office. Much is expected from him. I don't want to brag that he will do, because we make this same bragging on the past administration and nothing happened.
Some of the women who are into tailoring, bags making, barbing and other businesses also stress the need for young ladies to take up different trades instead of depending on their husbands or government.
My advice to the youth out there, you shouldn't depend on white-collar jobs. You have to engage in something to do. You can imagine the hunger these days. My brother, if the rest are not hearing me, I'm hearing it. Honestly, it has not been easy. Engage in something that will fetch you money. Do not depend on government works.
My advice to them is for them to get something doing. They should not stay idle. They should not be reluctant and get something, a handwork to do.
They should engage themselves in doing something. They should not wait for government. Though government have promised that they will provide a job for the youth, but we should not sit down and wait for the government.
For Adam Azaya, waiting for white-collar jobs will not stop them from running their businesses and vice versa.
White-collar job is good. Yes, you go to school because you want to acquire a white-collar job is good. But you also have to learn the skills. We have tailoring, we have barbing, you have, like me, I am a barber. So we barb and then we do a lot of things here. So I am calling on the youth of our dear state, Taraba, that you should look for something, get a handwork to do, to encourage yourself.
They called on the state government to fulfill its promise of creating jobs for women and youth, noting that youth unemployment is the major factor that gives rise to insecurity in the state.
The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunjiojo, has charged agency heads to speed up the process of application and collection of Nigerian passports. The minister, in a statement by the Chief Press Secretary, Alao Babatunde, on Wednesday, also noted that the President Bola Tinubu had no interest in excuses, saying that the agency heads must walk the talk as the country is at a critical point in their need of transformation. Tunjiojo also underscored the importance of leveraging technology as a means to enhance efficiency and accuracy within the Immigration and Correctional Services. Speaking at a briefing with the Acting Controller General of Immigration, Adepoju Karo Wura Ola, and the Controller General of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Haliru Nababa, the minister reiterated the order of his President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on getting all hands on deck. Now, at least 6 people were killed and 3 others injured when a classroom building collapsed in a displaced persons camp in Mangunu local government area of Borno State on Monday. It was learned that a classroom sheltering dozens of displaced persons in Mangunu camp collapsed on Monday evening, killing 6 persons, while others sustained various degrees of injuries. A member of the civilian JTF, Bakura Ali, told Daily Trust correspondent that the incident occurred due to heavy downpour in the town. 3 persons are said to be receiving treatment in General Hospital. A local government officer who spoke on the condition of anonymity confirmed that the affected classroom had been weakened from a previous fire outbreak. An hours-long downpour on Sunday caused the collapse. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up shortly, we take a look at Katsina residents' resort to cooked cassava as price of food continues to rise. Details and more after the break. back. This is the news update on Trust TV. A look at the top stories. Gabon's ousted president calls for help as coupist arrest son for treason. Building collapse kills 6, injures others in Borno IDP camp. Now, low-income earners in Katsina State now resort to cassava as an alternative meal as prices of food items continue to rise following fuel subsidy removal. The arrival of the new cassava to the market is seen as huge relief to many residents who go to bed with empty stomach. Abdullahi Yamadi reports.
Cassava is a staple food, particularly in northern Nigeria, for its affordability and is easy to process. Many eat cooked cassava without mixing it with anything, while others give it a mixture of powdered kuli-kuli, thus making it taste better. I was in another business before the arrival of the new cassava. Now, this is the only business I do, buying and selling of cassava, and it pays. Many residents rely heavily on cooked cassava, which serve as their only meal. I make end meats from cassava because, as you can see, low-income earners cannot afford food items such as rice, beans, maize, and others. As such, cassava is the cheapest and requires little things to put food on the table. As the economic hardship continues to bite harder, these young girls bring cooked cassava from the neighboring villages for sale and buy other grains from the proceeds. Before now, cooked cassava is eaten just for pleasure, but it's becoming an alternative food these days due to the biting economic realities triggered by inflation and fuel subsidy removal. To be honest with you, poverty is the cause of all this. To me, I eat cassava out of necessity. I buy it a lot and take it home for my family, but not because they like it, but they have no option.
In every situation, we thank God. Cassava complementing our daily life. Not only me, the bachelor, including the household.
Residents call on the government to, as a matter of urgency, introduce measures that will eradicate poverty and address rising inflation and unstable economic policies. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Women in Bauchi State have been urged to avoid using local ways of menstrual hygiene to be safe from contracting infectious diseases. A medical practitioner, Abdusalam Abdulaziz, made the call while commenting on the high increased cases of transmitted disease among women. Adamu Imam reports.
Recent reports shows that number of cases of sexually transmitted diseases among women nowadays is on the high. Against this background, a medical practitioner appeals to women to maintain using disinfectant sanitary pad for good hygiene despite economic challenges.
When you have an infection through the use of unhygienic means during menstruation, when you compare the cost of treatment to you buying, the proper pad, you'll see that by and large, you are still, to get that properly made pad is better off than using the locally made stuff. So I think we want to use this opportunity to actually tell women that, we understand the economic realities. Things are hard, but it is still, health can never be, it can never be too expensive. And one should actually try and prevent these infections diseases, conditions to prevent them is better than actually going for cure.
Some women who spoke to Trust TV within the state capital shared their experiences while using sanitary pads during menstrual cycle. They explained that high cost of living also contribute to why some women are using alternative means.
Sanitary pads for their monthly menstrual flow is difficult these days, considering the hike in prices, the cost of living. For me, the last time I bought a pad actually was 2 years back, because I think I've stopped. So the last time I bought it was 300 naira, but I think the cost of living is really pathetic for women. And then using alternative means aside from sanitary pads for me is not hygienic.
Make use of during this monthly cycle are too expensive, and for the economic situation we are now, people cannot really afford it. So there are so many sensitization campaigns on menstrual hygiene, and which with this economic hardship, vis-a-vis, we are contradicting ourselves. We are promoting hygiene, yet we can't even use clean sanitary pads. So I'll call on well-to-do and meaningful Nigerians to support our women, especially in rural areas, to really have best practices on menstrual hygiene.
It's not a hygienic because when it is time for rainy season like this, you cannot have enough sun to dry it up, and it can affect your health. But that of the sanitary pad that every lady used to buy is good, yeah. But there are some that is still bad. I cannot say that all is good.
He, however, advised government to prioritize awareness campaign against the danger of using unhygienic protection by women. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Away from Nigeria, at least 21 people have died as 3 days of torrential rains have caused flooding, landslides and mudfloods in Tajikistan, the latest natural disaster to hit the mountainous Central Asian country. A spokesperson for the Committee for Emergency Situations on Wednesday said that there are 21 dead, up from a toll of 13 on Monday. The death took place in 3 towns in central Tajikistan, not far from the capital, Dushanbe. Images and videos have appeared on social media platforms showing cars on flooded and damaged roads. The government said on Monday that the risk of landslides remained high due to the heavy rains and warned people to remain cautious, especially around Tajikistan's mountains. And in sports news, Venus Williams bowed out of her record-extending 24th US Open as the first hurdle on Tuesday. The 7-time Grand Slam champion losing 6-1, 6-1 to Belgium's Greet Minnen. Now, the 43-year-old tennis icon was no match for her 26-year-old opponent, who was born just weeks before Williams played her first Grand Slam final at the US Open in 1997. Williams, whose ranking has dipped to 410th in the world, was never in contention against Minnen, who dominated all facets of the match for a comfortable win. In recent years, Williams has tended not to play beyond the US Open at the end of each season. However, the American veteran said that she might revise those plans after a season that was blown off course by injuries, notably a knee injury suffered at Wimbledon, where she also went out in the first round. Now, finally, on a sad note, Nigerian flag designer Pa Taiwo Akinwumi is dead. He died on Wednesday, aged 84. Now, his son, Samuel Akinwumi, announced the death of his father on Facebook page. Akinwumi was rewarded with 100 British pounds when his design was selected as the Nigerian flag. He was awarded with the national honor of Member of the Order of the Niger by President Goodluck Jonathan in 2014. President Bola Tinubu, in a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, conveys his deepest sympathy to the family of the deceased. He affirms that the green and white flag is a legacy that has consistently reflected the fruitfulness, resilience, and harmony enjoyed by the nation, and the boldness and uniqueness with which Nigerians characteristically reach for and achieve success around the world. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar in his condolence message said that he directed that the national flag be flown at half-mast in his residence. Atiku said his thoughts and prayers are with the family, praying to God to grant him eternal rest. And that wraps up the news update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching.